And welcome, guys, to the MMOs.com podcast. This is episode 73 now, and this is Altai, joined this week by
Omer.
Gumble.
And that is it. Hurricane Matt is taking Matt out of the equation this week, quite literally. And Shu is dealing with family stuff. And after this week, her schedule should be clear. Had a death in the family. It's been keeping her busy and away from the computer. Bit hectic. So
TIO?
It's just the three amigos.
too much information? All right. Anyway, what I really want to know this week is what happened to your hair?
Okay, so actually on my birthday, exactly. So you're wondering why I have this crazy hair. I cut all my hair off. On my birthday, I decided to cut my hair. I always give myself a buzz every once in a while. If you see my Twitter picture, that's usually what I cut my hair to. And this time, I happened to forget to attach the accessory to the razor. So the razor, as an accessory, it comes with an accessory that limits how much.
I think they're called clips.
I call it an accessory, but all right, it comes with a clip, and using the clip, it cuts it to my profile picture on Twitter. However, this week I forgot to attach the clip because it's usually always attached, right? And Altai took off the clip, and I didn't realize. And the second I cut my hair a little bit, I'm like, no, it's too much. And of course, there's no going back. So we embraced our inner MapleStory buzz cut look.
It's very American history.
Okay, Gumby.
X.
Yes, good movie, by the way. Gumby, as a third-party objective observer, how much of this issue is Aaron's fault for taking the clip off?
Well, anytime there's a law, it's called Gumble's Law. And anytime an issue involves Aaron, it's always 100% his fault.
Okay, I'm glad I don't take full responsibility.
Listen, who takes something with a moving blade on it, okay, and then uses it on themselves without looking at it first?
Okay, how did you not know about the play?
Listen. In my defense, you guys, maybe we can straw poll this. All right, in my defense, I've literally done this for about a year, uninterrupted, without even thinking about it, because the clip has always been on.
And that's why I took it off
to
clean that thing for the first time in years.
Okay, so disregard Altai's excuses. How much of this is Altai's fault? Let's be honest. I'm gonna say it's 50% mine, 50% Altai. You know, I'll do 60-40. I'll take majority responsibility, but I want Altai to take a bit of
I'm
responsibility.
not taking anything. You gotta be careful. You gotta look at things before you shove them into your wherever
you're shoving those things.
All right. Well, I still maintain it's partially Altai's fault.
We should all shave our heads, and then we can look like terrible human beings.
All right.
The podcast title will have to change.
I agree with Tier God's assessment. 75% Altai, 25% Omer. There we go. I think the podcast has officially spoken. Ignore what he says. The podcast has spoken, and then we will, of course, start the week off. Unless somebody's got a fun story, we're going to start the week off with the weekly raid.
Let's do it.
I don't know what fun stories are, but I do know what the weekly raid is.
We'll go with it.
And this week, we're talking about in-game events because it's Halloween. And Halloween is kind of the one event besides, I guess, the Christmas, Hanukkah season. Actually, I don't think any game does Hanukkah events, but they should. Where every single MMO, every single game kind of has something going on. So it made me think about other in-game events, ones that I've particularly enjoyed in the past. And we're not talking about just events organized by developers, but just anything that's happened. Either it's Leroy Jenkins, or it's the time a corporation sabotaged another one, EVE Online, spent a whole year infiltrating the corporation and then killed the CEO and stole about $16,500 worth of in-game monies, Zenny, which is with the story that got me into EVE. So some of my personal favorite events that have happened in-game besides Halloween every single year, which I love, especially that Mercy skin, like everyone else, was the time a Ragnarok Online server admin, this was a private server, because private servers always have more fun, he spawned every single boss into Prontera, which was the main city, killing all of the AFK shopkeepers. All the players in the server had to band together to try and beat the boss. It was just a cool, fun event, totally spontaneous, and I love stuff like that. So figured I'd ask everybody, what event stands out in their mind as being memorable.
All right, first of all, I want to clarify, I don't think Leroy Jenkins was an event.
It's an event. Warcraft. I think it's an event.
Okay, like in the literal definition of the word, like things happen. Yes, there was like cause and effect, things, resulted, but I don't think it falls in the purview of an event.
You know what's crazy? Like, I guess this is more of an event than the Leroy thing. This got so much attention, which I don't think it deserved, but you guys remember that whole plague thing in WoW? Like,
Yeah.
I remember people were covering that so much when it happened. I was like, all right, it's kind of cool, but I guess it left an impact.
Exactly.
It's true, yeah.
To stay
Fine. Leroy Jenkins is an event, but go ahead, give us an actual event.
to stay in theme here, Halloween.
Please.
Yes, I think Dota 2, out of between League and Dota, I think Dota does a much better job with these kind of holiday events. I remember for Halloween they do something called Dire Tide, where like you fight this giant monster as a team. You have to like collect candy to get stronger. It's fun. It's a fun little co-op event.
So actually, the event in Dota 2 that Altai brought up, I remember when Dire Tide first came out in Dota 2, whichever team was able to defeat like this Roshan the fastest and like the quickest time at the end of the game, they were rewarded something called a golden Roshan courier, a very rare courier in Dota 2. And people are familiar with CSGO item trading. Dota 2 items work in a similar fashion. Rare cosmetics are worth real life money. So I think because they gave only so few away, that those are actually some of the most valuable virtual items in any online game ever.
Wow.
I think they went for over $10,000 if you buy one now.
That's a nice trick or treat right there.
And I remember we participated in the event, but we obviously didn't win because we suck, right? But
Does League do anything like that for Halloween?
let me think.
Does League know to
They
have
do
fun?
release like theme skins, and they do always have like these rotating special game modes. Because I know, for example, well, actually, it's good that we brought up Dota because League does do the there was a Christmas event they did, and there's a special game mode. It's basically just 1v1 or 2v2 mid only in a special map with a Christmas theme. I forgot what it's called. I don't know why. I remember playing a couple times too. But they do a couple special game modes, and they do release skins. Unfortunately, you do have to buy the skins, and they release ward skins. But mainly all stuff you have to buy. There's very few freebies. Very few freebies you get with League. Very few.
How fun.
Aren't you supposed to get the trick or treat as the user? Come on.
There you go. You're there
That's
right
true.
now. Haunted Zyra.
Yeah. Yo, you guys, you can buy ward skins. Isn't that exciting?
You get to give them more money on Halloween. What a deal. They did do I think a 3v3 Halloween thing at one point as well too. And it's kind of limited over there. But I think on the MMORPG front, I do think events are very important because let's be real. I saw the trailer for the Overwatch event for Halloween, and they added a bunch of new skins, a bunch of goodies, and I'm gonna play Overwatch tonight for the first time in a couple weeks because of this, just to get some of those skins. Because let's be real, how cool did that the Mercy witch skin look? I don't even play Mercy, but I'm like, holy shit, that looks awesome. I want it because it's the feeling of a limited time thing. It drives you to go back to something. And this event is gonna make me play Overwatch again, which I haven't played in over a week. What about you guys?
I'll probably play it too. I haven't played it in a while,
Well,
but
fun
I actually
fact.
want to try the PvE game mode. I think it's fun.
Everyone gets one free loot box. So if you haven't done it yet,
Yep.
just log in, open your box, see what you get. I got garbage.
What's cool about the loot boxes and actually Overwatch too is even if you're level 80, you're level 300, it always takes the same amount of time to get a level. So it doesn't like get harder as you level up. So I think Blizzard was quite generous with how easy it is to get loot boxes. I mean, I've unlocked almost everything in the base pack with how much I've played Overwatch. So they've been pretty generous with it.
You know what else is nice about events is those little touches. I actually think just playing normal Overwatch, the maps, now that they've added spooky cobwebs and dumb things like that, it just it gives a little flavor. It's like a little bit of chili lime seasoning on top there. It renews your interest.
Well
I know
said.
Final Fantasy does events too because I mean they give away special like emotes that you can only get during certain events, and those events kind of keep players engaged with the game because it's almost like a stream of content, but it's almost like exclusive content too because if you don't get it then, it becomes like near impossible to get later. So it keeps you attached to the game and keeps you coming back or gives you a chance to come back and play. And I think this works across almost every genre, whether it's Overwatch and FPS, whether it's like Final Fantasy 14 and MMORPG, and even I remember when Gunbound had events, like I'd go on just to do the events in Gunbound. Like they had these like advent calendar events where you'd get all these like extra gold for doing certain things in Gunbound, and I always participated because you get some free shit and it's always fun. Though some games kind of cheese it out with events with like it's not even worth doing the event stuff.
You know what
I
game
think a lot
over
of
does
games do a
it?
pretty
You
good
know what
job.
game over does it? Maple Story. I remember every time I log in, right? I kill like a mushroom, like maple leaves drop, these like dreidels drop, like the cake slices drop. I'm like, what are all these events going on?
I agree. Maple Story
There's
always
definitely is an
does it.
overkill.
It's unbelievable. To the point where like I don't even want to deal with that event shit in MapleStory sometimes because there's so much crap that drops from NPCs, and like when you log in, there's a million like alerts on the left side. Holiday event, this event, that event. It gets too much to deal with.
Yep.
I don't think anyone dislikes events though. So, but I think it's an excellent touch for games to keep people coming back. And I'm
All right.
playing some Overwatch tonight.
Which event season's better? Halloween or the holidays, Christmas and whatnot?
Christmas, it has to be Christmas.
Really?
Really?
It has to be.
I think I
disagree.
prefer.
I like Halloween.
I like Halloween better.
I do. I like Halloween better. I just like, even as a holiday, I just like Halloween better. Number one, I go down Target, and the entire section of Target is just candy. I eat all the candy, you know? It's like a good excuse.
You're paying full markup. You wait like 2 weeks after Halloween. That stuff is like 80%
I know,
off.
but I'm impatient. I don't have the patience to milk the system. And just like I just love, like, it's funny that in a fantasy universe, like for some reason, I don't know, the added touch of ghouls, goblins stuff. There's the horror atmosphere. It's just fun. Christmas is just, it's lame.
Right.
I don't have a good explanation for that one.
I agree. It is kind of lame, but I think game companies take the holidays and Christmas a little more seriously, so the events are usually better. As a holiday, I think I like Halloween better because it's more fun.
You make a good point.
But in game terms, I think.
Also, I think Halloween is more like culture neutral. Like
Yeah, it's true.
you know, like in a lot of Asian games or whatever. You know, what does, you know, I guess Christmas and stuff doesn't have the same meaning to them as. But with Halloween, it's just, you know, it's just whatever. It's for fun.
Except China, they don't like skeletons and
Oh,
ghosts.
that's true.
Do you know what's actually pretty funny? Literally every time I log into MapleStory, I have an achievement, right? It says Forever Alone. Because it was like my old Valentine event or something, and I never changed my like title. So every time I log into MapleStory, it says you've earned Forever Alone. And Halloween and Valentine's Day too is events all around. This year's Valentine's Day, well, not this year's, next year's. I'm looking forward to quite a bit because we have Persona 5 launching. So that's gonna be my Valentine.
Yay.
Yes, I will get all the waifus. All the Persona waifus.
Fair enough.
Well, I think we should move on to some of the big topics this week.
What do we got?
All right. I mean, we did mention WoW, so maybe we should bring this up first. There was actually there was an interview in a Polish gaming magazine for World of Warcraft where one of the designers of the game, they accidentally slipped a number, which I feel like they shouldn't have, and I don't know if they intended to. And they basically said that World of Warcraft had 10.1 million subscribers. And almost like a day later, Blizzard came out saying that the magazine must have misquoted them because he was not allowed to mention that number, and it's most likely a misquote. And they stepped away from that. But if you look at the actual context, if you scroll down the link, Pixel Magazine and Shilton, who was, what was his title again? He was the lead designer for World of Warcraft. They've asked him, you've reached a peak of 12 million subscribers at the end of 2015. It was only 5.5 million users more recently. Then you stopped publishing data. How many subscribers do you have right now? And again, the lead designer says, as we speak, it's about 10.1 million. It's hard to say what the future will bring. We have an internal competition in form of Overwatch, but it's possible that we will reach 12 million once again. So do you think this was a slip?
Or it was a slip. It was not a misquote. Come on, it's pretty clear.
I agree. It cannot be a misquote, but why did Blizzard come out and say this was obvious? This must have been a misquote.
Because they said they would never release subscriber numbers again. I'm going to believe in the conspiracy here. Blizzard wanted to show off how well Legion did. They couldn't come out and just give out the numbers because they said they would never publish subscriber numbers again. So they let it slip, and then it Streisand affected, and now we're all talking about how many people are playing WoW and how successful it is. You're right.
I believe the conspiracy too, because keep in mind, this was not an interview with like GameSpot, with IGN, some big American publication. You know, it was an interview with a Polish game magazine.
Very odd.
They picked an obscure magazine and let it slip, right? And then they're going with a denial, saying, "Oh, it was a misquote," right? And they're saying that because they want to save face in the fact that they said earlier that they would never announce it. But this is like a humble brag for them too, because they wanted to brag. That's why they let it slip.
I think so. I really do.
Has it been 30 days since the launch of Legion?
Didn't it launch August 30th?
Yes, it's been over 30 days.
Because I was going to say, because the box came with 30 days, right? So it probably inflated the numbers a lot, because everyone kind of got a subscription for buying it. So now the I guess the challenge now is how will it do after that? Will people actually...
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Renew and stay, subscribed.
I wish Blizzard never stopped reporting numbers. I really do. I think it's far more interesting if we could see constant data. So I hope they talk to a Kenyan magazine next and let us know how they're doing in January, and we can talk about the Freudian slip then too. Because I do wonder, because I know Legion, there are some complaints about Legion about the grind at the end, although it has seen widespread success. I stopped playing because there's just too many choices.
Also, for the record, Legion does not give you 30 days free, so the number is even more valid than before.
Oh wow!
So it does not only the base game comes with that 30 days free, or the battle chest. Expansions do not have it included. And again, 10.1 million is an amazing number. I mean, we've heard before they're doing really well, but remember the peak was 12 million. So to go from a peak of 12 million to 10.1 million, yeah, it's like an 18% decline, right? But it's still enormous for a game that came out in 2004. 12 years later, the game is still on top with near peak subscribers, which is remarkable.
All right, here's a good question. So we all know people who played WoW, and if everyone you know who started playing Legion, how many of them are left? I think this is valid. I know one person left out of everyone that started playing Legion that's still playing. They're still going hard.
What about you? How far did you get?
I hit 110. I got to the end,
Okay.
and then I started doing the end game grind.
Right.
Well, I stopped. I stopped for other games, but I had fun leveling.
All right, fair enough.
But do you know anyone that's still playing? Still going strong?
I know a few people.
Yeah, I know a few people too. Tubby and
Okay.
Tricky, two of my friends, I think, are still playing. I don't know if they're going hard though, because when they said, I know a lot of my friends said, "Oh, they're gonna go hard in Legion when it launches," but I think they're going pretty casual. Some of my friends.
I will say Legion did a great job that way because you can play alone, do dungeons and stuff, and still feel like you're making progress the whole time. So, props to them on that. I think that's going to help with retention a lot.
Is it worth the price for me to play? Just experience story content? Gumby, what do you think?
If you found, like, I'm not one that ever felt totally engaged by WoW story, but if you enjoy WoW story, if you enjoy the lore, then I mean Legion is the top dog. That way, I mean, you're going to see characters you've known from the beginning of WoW and Warcraft pop up, and you'll engage in their stories, and they're all pretty good narratives and well written and whatnot. So what Legion did is it cut out all the bullshit, like the fetch quest, the helping the farmers. Everything feels pivotal to the overarching story. So yes, I recommend it if you've played the other expansions, especially.
Speaking of WoW expansions, guys, some big news hit earlier this morning about potential legacy servers at Blizzard.
Let's clarify. Potential. It's potential from the mouths of Nostalrius.
Okay,
but haven't they been talking? At least they claim to be talking to Blizzard.
They talked to Blizzard back in June or July.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get the exact date for you. Since Legion's launch, I don't believe they've had constant communication. The forum post was basically that was made that this announcement comes out of what was in line with their T-shirt drive. They did a T-shirt drive. They donated the money to charity and whatnot. And they said that Blizzard has everything they need to make legacy servers happen. They have all the data. They have all the information. I guess they have the code and all that. And they said that Blizzard, they speculate, will make an announcement at BlizzCon. And they said if Blizzard doesn't make an announcement, they will. What that means, I have no idea. I can't imagine it's anything. But
no,
they're
basically
quote,
saying, Blizzard, if you don't do it, we're going to make another private server. That's what I'm hearing.
If Blizzard doesn't make an announcement to honor their own core values, be sure that we will. That's fun.
Wow.
That's some strong words coming out of Nostalrius after they caved to Blizzard earlier and they shut down without releasing the source code. So I'm loving the tough talk because
I think that tells me they haven't talked
get-go,
to them.
from the get-go, I was kind of upset with Nostalrius because they said specifically they're going to because Nostalrius is a collaboration between a lot of freelance developers, volunteers, and they said they would open source the code, and they never did. And our speculation in the past was that Blizzard got to them and told them, if you release it, we're going to sue you, and they made them stop. So they kind of went back on their promise of releasing that code. And hearing them say now that if they don't do it, we're going to do it, it's music to my ears, because either they're going to release the code themselves or just rehost a new server. I think one way or another, this bodes well for fans of Legacy WoW.
I think they'll do it. I think they'll do it. And here's my
Really?
convoluted reason. Ready? That line we saw earlier when they kind of tried to get away from the subscription numbers. They said they have internal competition now with Overwatch. Overwatch recently hit 20 million players. So I think they want to boost their player count. Wow. To see that they're still, the main top dog at Blizzard.
I like your logic because, again, that they did say internal competition, and it may be the bosses at Activision Blizzard are kind of telling this each department, whichever gets more users will get bigger bonuses. So maybe they're going to be pushing for more users and more business.
They want to
this
up
way.
the count, the player count.
Wow. I totally disagree with both of you.
Really?
100%. Yeah, I don't think anything's going to come out of this. When I read this forum post, I thought this tells me that Nostalrius hasn't heard from Blizzard once since their one meeting. That this, especially that one quote, "Be sure that we will," tells me that they're trying to get their attention. They wanted the media to pick this up and say, "Look, remember us." My guess is Blizzard will say absolutely nothing regarding legacy servers, and I don't mean to sound cynical. To me, you talk about them wanting to boost their numbers. I don't see legacy servers making a meaningful impact on their overall numbers. If their numbers are 10.1 million, to really make an impact, they need to bolster that by another million. I don't see even Blizzard's predictions saying they're going to have 1 million players if they make legacy servers. It's more like 30, 40,000 maybe. To me, it sounds like Nostalrius is getting desperate. They want to please their fans. I think that they feel fooled by Blizzard in thinking that Blizzard would do something, and now they realize they made a mistake and they want to see something happen. Blizzard, here's my prediction. At BlizzCon, Blizzard will say something. They will say, "We've talked about this, we really want to make it happen, but the technical difficulties are too overwhelming, and we have other projects in the works that we're excited to show you, blah, blah, blah." And they'll just keep brushing under the rug. People are happy with Legion. There's no reason for them to make Legacy. I think if Legion bombed, they would have looked into it, but it's done way too well for them to give it any credit.
All right, well, we don't have to wait long.
I hope I'm wrong.
You convinced me. You convinced me. I think Gumby's right. Because if you focus on the last thing they said, as a consequence, if Blizzard doesn't make an announcement to honor their own core values, be sure that we will. That does seem very clearly like, look, you've ignored us forever. We even had this meeting, and you're ignoring us. Pay attention to us. That does clearly show, after hearing Gumby, that there was no communication in a while.
Well, I want to be wrong, though, right?
No, I think we're spot on, but we'll see.
Sorry for anyone that's hopeful, because the forum posts are all like, "Yeah, it's happening," and I want to be on it too.
To be fair, look, it's around this time, this length of time where the game's been out, that we start seeing moves towards this kind of server, EverQuest, whatever it is.
RuneScape has done stuff like that.
Yeah, WoW is now getting long in the teeth, and I think this is the time to do it. There was nowhere to do it before, so we might see it.
Eventually, sure. I don't think it's so quickly. Yeah, we will see though. There are other WoW servers, by the way, if anyone's interested in vanilla, but the new golden rule if you play in a private WoW server is don't talk about it. So I will honor that and not talk about it, but you can find them on Google.
They're not difficult to find.
They're not difficult to find, no. They're all indexed pretty well.
All right, guys. I want to move to a topic I'm very excited about this week.
Oh, you've been giggling like a schoolgirl over it.
I've been giggling like a schoolgirl, all right? Because we are doing a segment called the Shitty Kickstarter of the Week. It's not every week, but it's most weeks where we can find a shitty Kickstarter. This week, we have a game called Surface 2040. And what makes this Kickstarter exceptionally shitty is that it's not just a throwaway Kickstarter, all right? This is a Kickstarter that the founder he registered a company called Steel Clover Studios. It's a Kickstarter that the founder seems to be passionate about. And I'll go through the reasons why I think it's a shitty Kickstarter. But basically, it's all the trademarks of a shitty Kickstarter. One, no actual gameplay, all right? And it's just one asshole talking about the game. And it's just these goofy effects in the video where it flickers. Essentially, this guy wants to make a cyberpunk-themed MMORPG with a massive open-world mega city, countless storylines, legendary encounters, and all this good stuff. And if you scroll through the project, he talks about making a AAA game. His name is Jeremy W. Wilburn. He's the creator of 2040. And throughout this entire pitch, he always uses the word "we." Like, we at Steel Clover Studios are working on this game. It'll be a AAA game. You look on that Twitter page, we are makers of AAA games. And of course, he's using the royal we. It's only one person. And this guy has no experience actually, making these kinds of games. And it's just him. And what I love is he's based in Utah, right? And in his profile, if you scroll down, I'm going to find it. There's a few hilarious parts, but if you scroll down to About Us, where you can see his name, and right above his name and his picture, it says About Us.
Oh, no, that third paragraph.
Steel Clover Studios is a relatively new entity founded in 2015. We are currently based out of Salt Lake City, Utah. We share the Wasatch Front with such giants as Share Entertainment Group and Electronic Arts. But we're here now, and we're happy to bring you our inaugural title. So usually, they'll say, our staff worked with EA, they worked with Blizzard, we have alumni from here. He says, we happen to be in the same city that Electronic Arts is in. That's his pitch. We happen to live in the same city that EA is in. Somehow that gives us credence for our project, just because we happen to be in the same city. which is absurd.
Oh my god.
The
This
guy
was a good find.
and what's read the man's biography is amazing too. He's like, I got this idea 27 years ago in 1989 when I was at a coffee shop, right? Of course, this is real. 27 years ago, he's like, oh, I thought it'd be great to make this RPG with cyberpunk stuff, right? And he's like, I wanted to become a graphic designer for several years, and eventually fell into becoming a 3D environmental artist. After being a part of projects like Star Wars Galaxy Fallout 3, I knew that video games was what I wanted to do. So he went back to school. Oh, by the way, he went back to school, right? If you look at I looked up his LinkedIn. The man went to ITT Tech, right? quality internet diploma mill, which actually they were shut down by the Department of Education for all this nonsense.
Oh wow!
His school no longer exists.
I didn't know they got shut down. That's awesome. Look at
And
that.
then he says finding work in Salt Lake City in the gaming industry was difficult. So I took a break for a few years to pay the bills and just live life. And then basically he stopped working in the game industry because he couldn't find work there, and he worked somewhere else. And he works as, I guess, an independent graphic designer of some sort. But there's just so much wrong with this Kickstarter. I mean, one, it's a remarkably ambitious game. We've seen a lot of ambitious games on Kickstarter. He only wants 200 grand, and he says in 2019 he's going to deliver. Obviously, very difficult to make a game on $200,000. And he always says AAA. If you scroll through his Kickstarter, it literally says AAA everywhere.
Oh, scroll to the bottom. Scroll to the FAQ.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite. This is my favorite. Is this his FAQ? The top thing is this a scam? And he says, nope, not a scam. If you like the concept, hey, just give me a call. We'll talk about how it's not a scam together. He even says, look, message me and we'll talk about how it's not a scam together. I feel like there's an unwritten rule of the internet. If you have to say you're not a scammer, you're a scammer.
I really think he's just dumb. Again, I'm gonna give this guy the dumb pass. Aaron, he has no idea what he's doing. He probably legitimately believes if he writes not a scam, he'll convince people.
Oh my god. Look, honestly, I kind of feel bad for this guy more than mad at him.
Yeah.
You know, and to be fair, right? His graphic design work is not bad. Like the layout of this,
of course.
The layout of this Kickstarter is not bad. Like the art, like the little text, you know, the images. It's pretty well laid out. I gotta say, I think he should just work as a graphic artist and be happy.
Look at the second FAQ. Yep. He drops a quote from John F. Kennedy. He's like, do you know how expensive it is, how difficult it is? He says, of course I do. Not even the slightest. John F. Kennedy once said, we choose to go to the moon, not because it is easy, but because it is hard. The man is dropping JFK quotes. He went to ITT Tech. He wants to make a AAA game. His Twitter profile says, we are makers of AAA games. And I was curious about this guy, right? I Googled his name to see if he worked anywhere. Couldn't find... If you Google his name, I'm going to drop a Google search for his name.
Whoa.
The first thing I find...
Don't do that.
No, searching somebody's... That's common.
We won't put it out there, though.
You just search his name. It's on Google.
All right, fair enough.
The first thing that comes up is just remarkable. Is Utah court records for there was a criminal case for driving on with a suspended license.
What? Wow, you're really skewering this guy.
No. Listen, you're allowed to use it's public records. It's on Google. I didn't do anything beyond a Google search, and it's the first thing that came up.
Well, to be honest, I expect Mark Curran drives with a suspended license too. So
Okay.
I wouldn't hold that against him.
I mean, I drive with no license, so.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
The law too.
If I got pulled over for a speeding,
at least this
I'm
guy
fucked.
can parallel park. He at least got a license.
It's just remarkable that in this day and age we see so many people go on Kickstarter and trying to make these remarkably ambitious games. You go to his website too. It's on the Kickstarter page. Yeah, he needs money for his website too because the website is disgusting, obviously.
Is it? I expected a good website from him because he's a graphic designer.
No, some of the art stuff is good. Some of the art stuff is fine. It just looks like
You're right. I'm actually unimpressed by this website. Yeah, I think he should focus on making this a better website.
You know this image in the background? I've had this as my desktop wallpaper.
Wow.
It's a nice one.
And the point of this is not really to shit on Mr. Whatever his name is. I forgot.
What was the point then?
It's just remarkable to see so many Kickstarters keep doing this. Like, look, you can't make a AAA remarkable MMORPG when you have no experience making games. All right, the guy is a graphic designer. He may have designed some board games in his time, but based on this Kickstarter, he shows zero credibility in getting any of this stuff done.
Here's a question though. Do you think he's serious? I don't, because some of the wording choices. Like look at the top here, a cyberpunk themed MMORPG with a massive open world mega city, countless storylines, legendary encounters. What could be better?
No, but look how much
People talk like that though.
He put a lot of time into this.
I think so. Yeah, Mormons.
Look how much stuff he put on here. Look at these factions. You got like Kyoto Technologies, the
Yeah.
police.
I think honestly, making a Kickstarter page was like a project of his, maybe.
Come on, I think he was pretty serious.
He's going to use this as a blueprint to offer his services, his graphic design services, to other people who want to make Kickstarters.
It is a nice page. I have to agree with Aaron there.
Think about it. He can just say, listen. You need some help designing. You know how people make the Twitch layouts for people for money?
Mm-hmm.
He's going to go to people with, like, I guess in Salt Lake City, Electronic Arts across the street. Hey, listen, you guys want to make stuff on Kickstarter? This is my template. You know, like I can do all this cool shit for you with the rewards, with the art, with the theme. I think that's the avenue he's gonna go with this.
All right, and the last thing I want to talk about is why Kickstarter. What's the plan? And the plan, I think it was in his plan area, and rather in his risks and challenges area. And he said video games, whether they are platformers or no, our advantage is that we have is that there are already hundreds of games from many genres that have paved the road for what gamers want, what they don't want, and what they will tolerate. And we have definitely paid attention. How is that an advantage? He's basically saying we've seen games flop, we've seen games succeed, and that's our advantage.
I'm telling you, this is a template.
I don't get the logic. There's no logic.
There's no logic. It's like Lord Mipsum.
It
All right, so
really
if
is Lord Mipsum.
If this isn't a template, right? So for the benefit, just for the sake of the thought, if this isn't a template, then I'm convinced with all these Kickstarters that people really think making games is simple. I really wish we had Matt here just to point out how hard it is. Because if this is real and this is legit, and he really thinks he can make this, is there like this cultural thing we have where people just think making a games is like you just drag a couple of elements in Unreal Engine and you're done, you're good to go? It's like making games is no joke. I mean, I don't get it. Like it's just like graphic design.
I think yeah. I don't think he knows what he's getting into, and I think he's just kind of. Yeah, like I said, a lot of these, Kickstarter people, like Richard Garrett, he should know better, right? He's an intelligent guy. He has industry experience. I think he's just trying to milk people for money, right? With Kickstarter. Mm-hmm. This guy is just an idiot, and I feel bad for him if he's serious, which I don't know if he is.
I think Gumby's he just doesn't know any better. I think
never attribute to malice that which can be adequately explained by stupidity.
But sometimes there is malice. I think I've
like the last one,
like the other Kickstarter I complained about. Yes,
yeah, that one is a scam.
I don't think there's anything malicious. It just I don't think it's gonna happen. I thought it was pretty silly. That my favorite part though is again the FAQ where he says, "Is this a scam?" And he says, "No, of course, no, of course not."
Yo,
just call me up, bro.
Give him a call. Give him a call. I'll tell you.
Give him a call. We'll talk about how much is not a. We can talk about how much this is not a scam, like the varying degrees of how much is not a scam. But I'm a fan of these funny Kickstarters, and this gave me quite a giggle as I read through this.
You want to see when you look at Kickstarters, always look for some type of jargon, like what engine they're going to use,
their experience,
their experience. Yeah, even if you just want to see, some technical details going on, so that they understand more than just the lore of the universe.
What are the rewards, guys? Let's look at the tiers here.
Oh, that's a good point.
$10,000. What does that get me? I can be the CEO.
No way.
That's just the title.
I know.
It's actually pretty funny. I will travel to your hometown where we'll give you a very comforting hug and then take you to dinner.
He's kidding.
$10,000.
No, he's obviously kidding about this whole Kickstarter.
He wants to give you a hug. Yeah, if you give me $10,000, I'll fly to you and give you a hug too. All right.
Dude, he's kidding.
He's gonna use the $10,000 to fly to you.
This is just a template.
He only gives you a hug on the $10,000. He won't give you any hugs if you pay him less.
I like the $5,000 tier. We'll take you out to dinner. You come to us.
If
you've never been to Salt Lake City, it's a beautiful place, and we have some killer places to eat.
But if you look at the second one, if you pay $2,500 more, they'll come to you. All right. No, that's only the $10,000 one. Never mind. The $10,000, he'll come to you and give you a hug. But if you're missing a hug in your life from an ambitious man, you give this guy $10,000 and he'll fly to you and give you a hug.
Dude, I think he's kidding, man. This whole thing is just
cut him.
This is just like a graphic design / web project for him. Like this
I think it's far worse. If you're right, then I'm insulted because then it's a total abuse of the Kickstarter system. Sure. I hope you're wrong because because then if someone actually donates money to this, then they just donate to somebody's their LinkedIn link at the bottom. It's disgusting and insulting to the crowdfunding process.
Sure, but he won't get a penny unless it hits 200, right? Grand?
Yeah.
So.
Oh, okay, that's right. I forgot about
this is not Indiegogo.
Yeah. Okay, you're right.
All right. So one last thing on this guy, we should move on. If you look at his goals, he says what the money will be used for. All right. And one of the things the money will be, the initial funding acquired from Kickstarter will go towards the creation of in-game assets to continue crowdfunding. So if you pay money, he's going to use that money to get more money from you.
Well, that sounds like Chronicles of Valeria.
Somebody was doing his homework. That's not a can of worms.
Bring on the comments, people.
All right. Let's get away from this. But
That's another controversy. I like this one.
All right, you take it, Gumby.
So the other day, if you're a Counter-Strike Global Offensive player, I don't even need to say this, but I'll say it anyway for those of you who stopped, Valve reintroduced graffiti sprays back into the game, but they are monetized. So instead of, creating porn GIFs and then spamming them all over Dust 2, like back in the day in Paradise, you will buy a can of spray, or you can get one in one of three ways. One of them, I think, is free. But then each spray can only has 50 charges. So you better not mess up where you place that spray like I used to. You better get it right exactly the first time. After 50, you have to spend money in order to refill the can. People were not too happy about this, of course. One of the funniest parts of it is that you could actually put a spray in a window and then shoot from behind the window, and the person outside couldn't see you. So a little bit of a tactical advantage there. The other thing is, and I'll just bring this point up so you guys can feed off it. Graffiti was it was a core part of Counter-Strike. 1.6 source, people, you would get a kill, then you would spray them up after you killed them. It was just a fun little add-on. And while I don't have a problem in the abstract with monetizing sprays, it just feels insulting to the Counter-Strike legacy in some type of personal way to monetize sprays. But you guys can take it away.
All right. They fucked up.
They fucked up hard. It's a huge insult to players because they've had sprays at 1.6 in Source and other. They had in Team Fortress 2 for crying out loud.
Oh yeah,
none of that matters.
Half-Life as well.
None of that matters. None of that matters. They would have got away with it if it wasn't for Overwatch. In Overwatch, you can unlock the sprays for free, right? Different kind of sprays for each character. So now people are used to unlocking permanent sprays and customizing them. If Overwatch didn't come out, I think they would have got away with this.
No, I don't think so because other games
it's a legacy
of
Counter-Strike.
It's a legacy of Counter-Strike that have custom. If you think back to Counter-Strike, we all remember moments where you see porn sprays, right? You're playing on a custom
Reddit server. How do they do that?
You see a GIF, you see some hentai on the wall, and you get distracted. You look at it, and you get popped from behind, easy headshot.
That's never coming back though. I think everyone knows.
No, that's okay though. But even just free sprays would be fine. I'm okay with having custom sprays, I guess. It does take away the charm, but just the fact that it's like. Again, though, but okay, if you argue this from the abstract, if this was a brand new game, right? If this wasn't Counter-Strike, I don't think I'd be upset. It's the fact that it's Counter-Strike. It's a game where sprays were such a fundamental part of the gameplay. It was just like this little stupid thing. It was fun to do, and they took that, and it just feels like something you loved selling out.
It feels cheap, exactly. It's not even about the money. They're not going to make a lot of money from this. It just feels like cheap. CSGO is already one of the most successful games ever on the PC. It's going to register. It's on the top 10 most revenue-generating games on MMOs.com. We had a list for it. They make so much money, and they have so many issues with hackers and ranks. Still, they did a good job countering a little bit. There's still issues, and they released this. It's a slap in the face of players who.
Did you read about the conspiracy behind this?
Oh yeah, I read about that.
I did not. What is the conspiracy? Enlighten me.
The conspiracy, Aaron, tell me if this is the same one you heard. The conspiracy is that Valve did this on purpose, right? That way, then they want people to protest and be upset. That way, then they can change the model so that it's a one-time purchase, and people will commend them for being a company for the players, but still keep a microtransaction.
Yeah, basically what they wanted from the beginning was permanent sprays that cost money. But they didn't want that to be the back. They didn't want to get backlash for that, so they made this to get the backlash, so they can offer.
That's actually really.
Isn't there a label for
anchoring?
that?
I think it's called anchoring expectation.
Anchoring.
Yeah. I think that's it.
That's actually really clever of them if that's their thought process, because I think there'll be much less backlash. Even from the get-go, I think there'll be much less backlash. But basically being charged per spray use sounds insulting. It's such a dumb idea.
Well, you get 50 for one charge.
I know.
And then once you're out, you got to pay again.
But let's say it's $10 for 50, then you can very easily calculate that it's 10 cents per spray. Can't do math. $5, for $5 for 50 would be 10 cents per. So it's just weird to think that every time you click your spray button, you're paying money for that. I think I don't think people would have been as upset from the get-go if they just launched it with the one-time use to unlock all of that spray. But the real charm for me was the custom sprays. It's always sad to see that go, but as Altai said, that's not coming back. Being able to do the porn sprays, the weird sprays, like that was such a fun part of internet gaming. You know,
it was hilarious.
I'm being nostalgic now, but it goes on with the pussification of games where developers can't even trust their players to have custom sprays anymore.
You know, I don't get.
I mean, they really couldn't.
Why did they have to do it so poorly? Like, what do you know what they could have done instead? They already have loot boxes, right?
Yeah.
So when you open a loot box, why not make a chance of getting the item you were going to get?
No,
anyway?
you can. There's 3 ways to get sprays, right? It's not just a purchase. So I should have clarified that for someone calls us out. You get as a free weekly drop. You can buy graffiti boxes, or you can buy them on the marketplace. So there is a free avenue for getting sprays.
I think they should have just made it free, like a bonus. Then you don't care for using.
Well, then no one would care.
Exactly, but no, you could just use it for fun, and you don't feel like you're spending 10 cents every time you click the button. You know, like it's just for fun. Like you get it either for free once in a while, or you get it as a bonus item when you open a loot box that already you open anyway.
It's such an unbelievably bad idea that I am 100% you two are correct with conspiracy theory. Usually, I don't believe these gaming conspiracy theories, but I think 100% you're right because imagine you spray somebody after you kill them, right? And he's gonna go in voice chat and say, "Hey, asshole, you just spent 10 cents on that spray. I win." He's gonna make fun of you for spending 10 cents on that spray. Like, it's just so stupid that it cannot be anything but their way of anchoring the expectation of going back to the permanent sprays. It's got to be that. I'm willing to bet anything. There's no way this stands as is. There's no way.
Valve's got to make their money from the losses in gambling.
It's a shame.
You got to gamble sprays.
It's a shame that Valve is private. We can't see some of their numbers. But honestly, I'm at the point now where I believe the Steam marketplace in general was a bad idea. I think the way Yes, I think the way Overwatch does it, where everyone kind of unlocks their own skins for their own character. You can't trade, right, in Overwatch?
Yeah.
That's the way to go. I think going forward. I think
they make so much money with the.
But do they make so much money?
CSGO is one of the highest revenue generating games of all time. We updated our list.
You can still have loot boxes. Like Overwatch has loot boxes, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I'm just against the market. When I say I'm against, I'm saying, is it worth the logistics and the legal scrutiny? Like, for example, now they're getting in trouble with the Washington State is going after them for gambling, with using the skins as a currency, basically, right?
Mm-hmm. That was because of the gambling and loopholes and all the other issues they had. That's different. If they kept it all on the Steam marketplace, it could have been different. Actually, what's interesting too, according to the Super Data Research, CSGO generated $221 million of revenue in 2015. That's only $17 million less than Dota, and they're closing the lead. $221 million. It's such a big game that they don't need to nickel and dime users like this.
That's why I think I want to believe the conspiracy.
Alta, you don't like the fact that you can trade items in Dota and CS? I feel like that's a really cool element of Valve and the Counter-Strike in Dota.
Listen, I like it. I've actually made money off it, right? Okay. But I can see. Well, I'll put it this way: if I was running Valve, right? Mm-hmm. And again, I don't have the numbers, which is why I said it's a shame it's private, so I don't know exactly if it's worth it. But the logistics involved, the fraud involved, the scam. Because once you can trade items for money, right? You can. Somebody's Steam account, even my Steam account, I probably have at least $500 to $1,000 worth of items in Dota, right?
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. My Steam account now is literally a target for everyone in Russia and China because that's a lot of money for them, right? I actually did authentication for my Steam account with my phone. So every time I log in, every time I start my computer, I gotta do some phone bullshit to log in. I did it because I'm actually afraid because I got $1,000 sitting on the Steam account. All these people in China are like, I play Counter-Strike all day in Ukraine or whatever. They're trying to hack my account, and I don't blame them. If I would lived in Ukraine and made sold potatoes for $1. What I would do is just talk to little kids on Steam all day. Hey, give me your account. I'll get you Masterclass Eagle 2. Whatever. Just give me your account, and then they give me their account. I just take all this shit and sell it on the Steam marketplace.
Yeah, it does open the door to a lot of hacking, and I'm sure that happens very often where people get their accounts stolen. I mean, it is a big business, and there's a lot.
Valve put you at risk. But
I get friend invites. I stopped accepting friend invites a while ago, right? And this is one of the reasons. I would accept, and they would just try to scam me, in the most crude, broken English manner. But every day.
At least they tried.
That's pretty funny, actually. They do that. You're a target. You got some goodies in your account then.
Yeah. But if you could still buy the loot boxes, but just not trade them, right, or sell them, there'd be no point in taking your account.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. I mean, it's going to be backpedal though. I have no doubt. I will bet anybody that they're going to backpedal on the limited use. And Alta, do you want to make a prediction? Do you think the Steam Marketplace and the Steam trading will go away? Are you confident in your belief?
I would say if it was like if Valve was purely like a profit-driven business, like a publicly scrutinized, yes.
Yes.
But if Gabe just likes the factor of having a virtual marketplace and he likes like that concept, he might keep it on as a hobby.
Fair.
Alternatively, it might get shut down by the government for all this game, because those sites with these wheels and stuff with the Counter-Strike betting.
Yeah, that's all gone though now.
Oh, it's all gone. Okay, so good. So
Yeah.
I think they're getting hammered by the state for facilitating gambling, so that might force them to shut down too.
Fair. All right. Let's move to some more less controversial yet more positive bit of a discussion. I know you guys are all eagerly wishing to play ELOA. I doubt that's the case, but the game is still alive. Surprisingly, GameNGame is like, you know what? We want to publish that ELOA, and all of a sudden they picked it up. Very weird, considering Webzen, the previous publisher, didn't even say anything. Somebody actually linked this on Facebook. If you go to their splash page, that all of a sudden they have a coming soon page on GameNGame.
Do you know what surprises me the most about this article? You wrote, GameNGame still publishing Zone 4 Fight District.
Yep.
How is that still a thing?
Weird. Who knows? But what's remarkable too is GameNGame is an interesting place. Very interesting place. It's basically a game portal for basically these failed games. There's no really big successful game on GameNGame. It's like purgatory, where like failed games kind of like they don't quite go to hell just yet. They're just kind of like in limbo, and they just sit there. You have games like Metal Reaper, Chronix. You have Redstone wasn't an awful game. Microvolts I still have I kind of like, but these are all basically games that just haven't died yet. It just Zone 4 is coming soon. It's not even ready. They're reworking it. They're gonna relaunch it.
Okay.
But they're basically still publishing it. And what's so weird is that the company that actually sponsors and funds GameNGame is called KOCA, the Korean Creative Content Agency. The Korean government is literally funding shitty Korean games in America. How does that make you guys feel?
It makes me feel like I'm getting cultured. Thanks, Korea. Thanks for culturing me.
Through shitty games.
China does the same thing. They export their art to the West to make people learn about them.
They do like some tax breaks for like Chinese games.
Yeah.
They literally are hosting these Korean failed games that just refuse to die.
What do you think they're thinking? I honestly, when I saw this was coming back, I couldn't fathom the reasoning behind it.
No,
but
I can more so understand ELOA than I can some of the other games. Like,
sure, but
why
still,
is Zone 4?
I don't know.
Why is that game like Chronix? This game is like you play for 5 minutes and you realize how Duke it is. Like, why is this? Like, at least ELOA is a game. It's actually, I think, the best game. One of the best games on here. I know some people still love Dark Eden. Big nostalgia factor over there, and maybe some nostalgia with Redstone. But every other game on this list, it makes no sense. ELOA is still kind of new and it was a decent game. But why is Chronix mind-boggling? I challenge you to play Chronix for more than an hour. You just can't. You just can't do it. It's not a fun game.
All right, here's why, guys. Ready? One of the requirements the South Korean government puts on publishing a game here is you must put a keylogger in the client so the Korean government, all right, can spy for its diplomatic,
I believe
missions.
Okay, do you think U.S. ambassadors and U.S. high officials are playing shitty Korean games from GameNGame? They're playing Chronix.
Maybe their kids are.
Maybe they're playing Asta Global. Can you imagine Obama? He gets home, he plays MapleStory, he plays Asta Global, he plays these games.
Chronix is actually Obama's favorite game.
Yeah, I see freestyle here. So imagine this. Ready? Some diplomat's kid plays it, right? On the same computer that his dad logs into his private email account.
This is how Hillary got hacked. It all makes sense.
There we go. We got it.
Chelsea Clinton was playing Zone 4.
It all goes full circle.
Oh my god. That's a third conspiracy
circle.
tonight for you guys in the audience. We've finally cracked the code. Call Alex Jones.
Get him on here. It's just remarkable. Guys, maybe we should do a Sunday Fun Day for Chronix. I should talk this game. Maybe you guys got to know how shitty this game is,
like
right?
Shitty game.
A shitty Sunday Fun Day is a good theme to go with, because I can unwind. I can just say all the nonsense that comes to my mind. I could trash on a game. So I'm looking forward to that.
For audiences to know, our last Sunday Fun Day was pretty shitty. I gotta say.
All right. That was a quality game. Kaboom.
Kaboom.
Make fun of Kaboom.
With the Kuboom. Kaboom. Go play it, please.
Top keck. But yeah, for those actually looking forward to ELOA, I didn't want to bundle ELOA with the other games we talked about. I do think ELOA has, will do better than the other games on that list. It's probably one of the better games that GameNGame is going to publish, and it's good to see it survive because it's barely been like a year since it was up. I think it's been way less than a year actually. Unfortunately, there's no word on character transfer, so I think players will have to make a new character once it goes live, which is unfortunate.
Very. If I was invested in ELOA, I wouldn't want to start all over again. They actually released July 24th, so it's been a little over a year.
Really? Oh wow! In
2015, July 24th. Yeah, it was the global release. I think
we're counting the other one.
Spirit Online came out first, and then ELOA came over.
Because open beta began on November 17th.
I'm wrong. WebZen brought ELOA over on October 13th, so July 24th is in Spirit, which it's the same game.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, this is actually a really good name for a shooter. Line of Sight.
It is. I'm not sure why Line of Sight says coming soon over there. I'm pretty sure Line of Sight is available on Steam right now. So maybe that whole coming soon thing could be like some nonsense because Line of Sight is available on Steam last I checked. Interesting enough, they do say they're coming soon on their own page too. Worth mentioning Line of Sight too because it's
$10.
It's $10 on Steam Early Access. I do believe it's going to be free to play at launch, but it's one of those games. Yeah, No, actually, they didn't specify their business model. They just said free to play is an option. The game actually looks kind of decent because I remember I was sort of hype about this game back when it was Combat Arms Line of Sight because let's be real, who didn't play Combat Arms back in the day? And despite running to like 3 hackers per game, it was still a pretty fun game at the time. And this is supposed to be like the next iteration of it, but Nexon is like, you know what? We don't want to put our Combat Arms name on your shitty game, and they distance themselves, and now it's just Line of Sight.
Fun fact, guys, if you want to quiz your obscure free-to-play knowledge, go to GameNGame's alumni section, and every year you can see some of the games that came out. Like, who here knew that there was a game called MAF Online?
I didn't know that. Where'd you find that? Where'd you find the alumni section? I'm curious now.
Kingdom Under Fire, Divine Soul, Tanky On.
What is that? All right, Divine Soul was a fail. Was a mega fail. I remember that one.
Well, apparently there was a game called I Love Coffee.
I play that. I play that game every morning.
Whoa, Metin 1! Oh, I never played Metin 1. I never saw Metin 1.
Wow.
If it's anything like Metin 2, it's a winner.
Oh my god.
They have alumni all the way back in 2004. So GameNGame.com has been all around for a long time. Dio Online, Shot Online was from there, Cal Online. I think the way it works too is actually they sit on GameNGame until a different publisher decides to publish them. So they've always bounced. Some of these games were bouncing between GameNGame and then different publishers and so forth.
Well, I am enjoying this list. I don't know about you guys. I'm going through this list here.
It's good. It's nice blast from the past because some of these games are really they're dead now. But I remember we see Lunia on this list. Pretty sure the private server is Lunia.
Yeah, it's still a private server.
You did recently put up the soundtrack for Lunia for MMOs.com. So if anybody wants to listen to some fun music, MMOs.com/music. Random little tidbit there.
All right, let's move on. Time to move on to something else.
Let's move on to a bit because I actually want to announce. I probably should have said this earlier, but I do want to announce a feature on MMOs.com that we added recently. Something called our beta calendar. If you go to MMOs.com/betas, we're going to be updating this calendar basically for every new game launch, every closed beta, open beta, any beta news and game launches, as well as major expansions. Expansion launches will be on the beta calendar as well. So if you ever want to try a new game or keep an eye on what's coming out next, our calendar will hopefully do a decent job, and it'll be updated every day as we get more information.
And cool. If you see something that's missing, please just let us know in Discord or in a comment or wherever, and we will add it. But anywhere. We should be on top of it. But, things do slip through the cracks. So just yell at us. Make sure you use 2 exclamation marks.
The only thing is sometimes we know, like, a game is going to come out, like, they'll say, like, sometime in late October or late November.
Like Revelation
Online? And then I don't know where to put it on the chart because I can put, like, a whole range, but it looks weird. So they do.
Yeah, don't do that.
If you don't have an exact date, we're not going to include it.
That means Revelation, which if I know there's a lot of hype around it. For some reason, it's the month of their closed beta test. They've handed out keys. They've never announced the date. They're rumored to announce it tomorrow, but they've really taken their time. I don't really understand what they're doing.
Interesting. We just actually got a new one for Cloud Pirates.
Oh, Cloud Pirates. Oh, whoops.
All right, awesome. We're going to include that right now.
Wow, look at that. Updated already.
Yeah, it's going to be updated in a second. Somebody going to pick up next?
Oh, moving right along. Moving right along. Where do we want to move to?
I'll take one if you guys want.
Take it, please.
All right, because I'll add a little later. But one bit of news that I was a bit excited for this week is that the League of Legends World Championship is actually going to have is having crowdfunding. You're going to find the link for Altai. But it's the first year that Riot Games is using a similar crowdfunding thing that Dota 2 has done for a long time, and they've already doubled the original prize pool, which makes me. I've asked this year in and year out, what is wrong with Riot Games? Why haven't they done crowdfunded prize pools and they finally caved now and they did it, and they did it in a very half-hearted, uninspiring way, and they still they doubled their prize pool. Even the only way to add to the prize pool basically is if you buy, there's 2 skins, a Championship Z skin and a Championship Ward skin. Basically, 25% of the gross purchase price will be added to the prize pool. So if you buy those, you add to the prize pool, you support esports, it's cool. But compare that to what Dota did with the Compendium. If you play Dota, the Compendium is like an all-encompassing, cool way to make predictions on the esports scene. It's well worth the money. You get so much value out of it. And because of the Compendium, Dota raised like over $20 million for their prize pool. I suspect League is kind of going through learning, baby steps, and they're going to learn how to use crowdfunding. And I expect, maybe not next year, but the year after that, we're going to have amazing prize pools for League. I'm talking like over 20 million, over 30 million even.
Well, that's pretty big numbers.
Okay, so yeah, you said that. So this year, Dota got to 20, right? 20 million. So you think League will beat that?
I think League will give it 2 years. I think League will beat it. And the reason being, if you look at the article I sent you, scroll down to the active user base between MOBA titles. Mm-hmm. Look at the gigantic difference in player base between a game like League and Dota. Dota is the next biggest game by far, but then look at League of Legends and its active player base.
I mean, I've seen this before, but like you said, okay, look, League is giving you 2 skins, right?
Yes, they half-hearted it. They half-assed it this year. This is their first year doing it. I think it's their baby steps. Give them 2 years. In 2 years, it's going to beat anything Dota does, my guess.
Okay. I don't think so. And here's why. For Dota, right? If you got your compendium to a certain level, you got a whole new map skin, right? You can see like the flowers and everything, and the whole the trees were different. Like the map, I can't fathom the Chinese, rulers and the people at Riot can even figure out how to make that in their client.
Okay, here's the deal. Their client sucks. Everybody knows that the League of Legends client sucks. However, I did mention that in the article, a new client. There's actually a blog post about it from a few months ago on the engineering.riotgames.com. They basically admit that their client was from 2008. They built an Adobe Air, all this nonsense, and they're gonna revamp the client. Again, this is for just I think maybe there's a launcher, but the whole client is being remade, and it's gonna. I think they remake, and this was only 4 months ago, so they were already thinking about the crowdfunded pools, right? There's no doubt in my mind they thought about crowdfunding and the client kind of at the same time.
Well,
they'll connect them.
Okay, but is this just about the front end, like the Adobe Air replacement, or is it actually going to replace the game client?
It could be a bit of both. But remember, I feel like if they have a connection through the regular client, they can see elements from the game as well. And again, replays are kind of working into this as well. They started talking about replays now too. Recently, just a week ago, they talked about replays actually going to happen. They say we're going to do replays for realsies this time, and this is all after they announced their new client. So I think they think about all this stuff finally.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm skeptical.
Vinditators points out that Dota 2 makes a lot of money for their competitive scene and is a lost leader for League of Legends. That is true. It is a lost leader. However, if you already look at what's been happening with League of Legends, they raised over $2 million, about $2 million exactly for the prize pool, right? And you can do some back of the envelope math, and that comes out because 25% of the gross sales goes to the prize pool. Very easy to calculate how much money Riot made from the sale of these 2 skins. They've made $8 million from selling just a Ward skin and just a Z skin. That's $8 million they made. That can cover their losses from esports for at least a decent chunk of the season, decent chunk of the year. And when you start getting into bigger numbers like 20 million, Valve made $20 million for their international. They made $80 million in sales for $20 million to be added to the prize pool. So when we start talking $20 million, if League ever hits $20 million crowdfunded esports prize pool, that means they made $80 million in sales, which would more than cover any of their losses in esports. And I think they realized the potential there.
Okay, I actually am interested in this kind of tech stuff, so I do want to read this this Riot Games post after the podcast, and I want to see whether they're talking about the actual game engine or just like the server stuff, the interface, the lobby, the patcher, and the whole Adobe part. So, because if it's one and not the other, then I don't think they can do what the compendium offered.
They got to do it, and I think they realize they got to do it because, and I'm not sure, but they're talking about replays, they're talking about crowdfunding, all like within a few months of the new client they're working on.
Okay, all right, we'll see.
So I think they're interconnected, but we will see in a year or two if Riot fails. I mean, I don't put it past Riot to completely derp. They've derped on replays for 5 years, and it's never happened, even though it was supposed to happen. It was in the public beta for a short while. So incompetence and failure is a bit run amok at Riot sometimes, but I believe it's going to happen only because it's such a big moneymaker potential for them.
All right, well, we shall see. And let's move on to another upcoming...
We got to get this big one.
Another upcoming thing. Here we go. Who wants to cover this?
I don't know which one you're talking about.
Take
Star Citizen.
Star Citizen.
Oh, okay, Star Citizen. CitizenCon, which is the only convention for a game that doesn't exist yet, or isn't released yet in the world. But CitizenCon recently went on, and Chris Roberts gave a presentation talking about the game, and they did show off some, I don't even want to call it gameplay. They showed off a demonstration of what it would be like to land on a procedurally generated planet, which was actually very neat. If you play the video, I believe the video is already time marked at 1:25.
Yep.
It looks very nice, very beautiful, very pretty. You get to see different ecosystems on a single planet. Then they land the ship, and you go off scavenging. I guess part of it, it's basically chasing after, what would you call it, like distress signals, finding wrecked ships and whatever. Everything, it was very scripted. It felt like, like something that would be in the campaign. It all ended with a very cool sequence with a sandworm that's inspired by Dune popping out of the sand. Very cool, very good looking. It all looks great. It all looks nice. If Robert Space Industries or Star Citizen is good at anything, it's presentation. They really know how to hype it up. Now, I'm not a Star Citizen backer, so I have to go based on public sentiment. I don't think any of us are. Many people were actually pretty disappointed with CitizenCon due to its repetition of what we've already seen. So we've already seen these types of retrieval missions. We've already seen. We understand the procedural generation tech is there, but they delayed. So Star Citizen's actually two games, I guess, in a sense. It's this MMO kind of universe, and then there's a single-player campaign called Squadron 42. There's absolutely nothing shown from Squadron 42, which has big names attached to it, like Mark Hamill, who played Luke Skywalker, and Gary Oldman, who was in The Sixth Element. Was he in The Sixth Element? I think he was. But so that was delayed. Absolutely nothing to show from there. We didn't get to see any of the other different types of missions besides this kind of like bland retrieval. We didn't get to see much in the way of like creative AI. It was all very superfluous. But I will say it looks pretty. It just, to me, what this says is, yeah, it's nice, but they're still a ways off. I mean, they've got one planet here and a very limited area to show off. So it's a bit concerning. We don't know when the single-player game will launch. It's at least delayed till 2017. I will say, after watching the video, I was impressed. I mean, it's an awesome presentation. I mean, all the animations, maybe you guys can agree, in Star Citizen, from what they've shown from day one, all look great. But the thing is, you need more than just great looks.
It does.
You can have a pretty face, but you have to have a mind too.
But here's what I don't get: this planet, right? It's procedurally generated.
Yeah,
it looks so empty.
As far as I know,
it looks so empty. It looks beautiful, but empty. What am I supposed to do with all this? Like, give me a smaller and that's why I like Terraria.
No Man's Sky, isn't it?
Terraria, right? The map was you can only go left and right and jump and dig, but each area, like the desert area, whatever, the winter area, was all procedure generated, but it was small enough that I could explore it. And every little part had meaning because it was so, it was explorable, it was finishable. This is so big. What am I going to do? I bet 99.99% of this planet's surface is just there to just fly over.
Yeah, I'm sure it is, and I think that it wasn't the sixth element, it was the fifth element I fucked up, but it was with Chris Tucker's in that too.
It's a good movie.
It is a good movie. I mean, I think procedural generated planets can work, right? But the thing is, there should be something more interesting. I mean, that we're abstracting away from Star Citizen. Then we don't want to go away too far.
I want to jump in when I get a chance.
But yeah, Aaron, I do agree with you. You need it has to be more than just there has to be something interesting about it, right? Not just these retrieval things. And if you want to make if you want to have emergent gameplay elements, it can't just be this type of scripted sequence. And that's kind of, I guess, that's the goose egg, right? Everyone wants like immersion events to happen, but feel alive, not like some type of scripted thing. But anyway, go ahead.
All right, I watched most of the trailer when we start seeing actual gameplay, and it was remarkable for a tech demo and just showing you like the draw distance. The guys on the planet, you can look into the space and see a floating space station, and you can see the rings actually spinning from that distance. It's truly marvelous technology. I mean, I've bashed Star Citizen a lot, but with what they've accomplished on the technology front and on the engine front, it looks gorgeous, right?
Oh yeah.
But here's the criticism. Where's the game? This is what they're showing us is not a game.
Yeah.
It's a tech demo of just some technology. Now, I said it when we saw a gameplay video earlier, quote unquote gameplay video. They have to actually make the game now. Okay, they made an engine. It's all nice. Now the hard part begins. They got to actually make all of this fit together, intertwined, and make it fun. They built a great engine, great technology, but this is not even close to being complete. Especially if you look back, I think at the anticipated release schedule on StarCitizen.wikia, you can see Chris Roberts in June 16 of 2014. I think this might have been the most recent number he said. The backer should be able to fly around in a small version of a persistent universe towards the end of next year. So I think it's supposed to be at the end of this year that there going to be some kind of persistent universe should be playable by backers. And they said a small version. So with all this, when is this game actually going to come out? And I don't think they're anywhere close to creating a coherent MMO gameplay yet. They've shown beautiful technology, but how all this interacts with each other to create a fun experience is, I think, going to be a huge challenge.
Well, man, we should put out, you can play now, but it is confined.
Yes.
If it's anything like, I did not play the 3.0 demo, but I played the 2.0, which was a small space station. You could fly around a bit in space. They had dogfights, all very pretty, all very nice. But as far as I understand, they're going for this grandiose universe.
So I have a quick question.
So it's gonna take time.
We played Starbound here, right? And do you guys remember how the planets you visit, some of them have like these little civilizations, like the mushroom people or whatever?
Yeah, I always loved that.
Okay. Does this game have anything like that? Like when I fly over these planets, am I gonna see like an pre-industrial like little civilization? Or is it just empty barren rocks forever?
If you watch the demo, Erhan, and you get to the part, they do have like natives. They look just like Tatooine in Star Wars, the sand, whatever they're called. So I guess there is supposed to be hallmarks of civilization on some of these planets. Will there be like functional societies? I mean, that sounds like it's beyond our tech. I don't know. I have seen them land on comets, and there's like bases, and you'll go into like this functional elevator, and it's all one persistent universe, and it all looks very pretty. But I don't know if what you're getting at will be in the game.
Okay. All right. I mean, here's the thing with No Man's Sky too, right? And don't give me 1 billion planets, right? Just give me like much fewer, but make them interesting. Like after I've seen one procedurally generated rock, like how is seeing 1 million more going to make it any better?
It's true.
I fail to see the point of that.
The thing is, once you have like the ginormous universe, it gives it a remarkable sense of scale, I think, where you realize just how small one person is. And I've mentioned a lot of my first like videos, and just personally, games have gotten much less, and like games that actually come out have gotten much less ambitious in terms of scale. The world is always smaller, the zones are smaller. I mean, even like Blade and Soul, a relatively newish game, the zones weren't very big. Some of them were bigger than others, but you didn't have that large sense of scale where if you look at Star Citizen, the sense of scale is remarkable. It's just huge.
Oh yeah.
Even obviously they have to make it meaningful, right? But
I disagree with you on that. I think what games got worse at is not the sense of scale, but the illusion of scale. Like the games we grew up playing and that we were immersed in, whether it's MapleStory, whether it's Ultima Online, the game in MapleStory when we played, there were so few maps. But the thing is, you couldn't just go from one to the other so fast. You had to, you spent time in each one. That it felt big. And same with Ultima Online, you could run from one end of the world to the other in like what, 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
It still felt like one continuous zone. When you play games like Blade and Soul, you're zoning in between areas, and it kind of like just feels smaller. And that's what I mean. I'm not necessarily physically this sense of scale, but this seamless world.
Okay, the zoning part. Okay,
the seamless is important, I think.
It's
Revelation Online said they're going to do that, so that's good.
But my point is, I think you can use tricks and good game design to create a small space that feels large, rather than just creating a large empty world and saying, "Look how large it is."
Well, let's bring it back full circle. You think that's what Star Citizen should have done?
Again, I have to see more, play more, see what they present, but I don't see.
We're still very early.
I don't see the point of 1 million procedurally generated planets. Doesn't make any sense to me.
Right. Look at this,
the
GIF.
For that.
And take a look at this GIF too. You can see actually warping from the surface of one planet.
Yeah, I did see that. I remember this. Yeah.
How cool is that? Like again, they've shown us some remarkable tech, and I want to say like congrats to making this amazing technology, and it looks like a great engine. But I can't get hype on Star Citizen because this is okay. Now the work actually begins. Now you gotta actually make the game. You have the engine, make the game now. Make it fun, make it coherent, fit all this together, and make it fun. Like that's the hard part. And I feel like some people are hype about this game without understanding that. Like I wish this game does well. I wish this comes out as expected because this could be truly awesome. But it just seems impossible. There's a Herculean task ahead of them, and like it's just starting now to make all of this work. That's why I can't get excited about Star Citizen just yet.
Well, I could get excited, right? But I think this comes as a part of a lot of Kickstarters. Anything that's crowdfunded, the gap in knowledge between a consumer and the developer is that games like this, games with this much ambition, no matter what it is, they take a lot of time. And when you're open about your project and people see this, they think, oh, we're almost there. But like you said, this is more like the beginning.
Yeah.
This is more like the proof of concept. Like I expect to have my hands on something, I don't know. I'm going to give it a couple more years at least. It's going to take time. And I'd rather you take their time. So take your time, make the project you want to make. I'll play it whenever it's ready. But
all right.
I think that's what you're pointing at.
Here's the problem with this kind of game. It's expectations. Like I know Matt, for example, he's not here to defend or add to this, but he said he was enjoying No Man's Sky. He says it's relaxing. He just flies from planet to planet.
Yeah.
Like casual, very chill. And I can respect that. Like I'm sure if that's what you thought going into it, right? You would enjoy it. But the thing is they hyped it up so much. Like they said you can have all these features, like these first of all multiplayer, right?
Multiplayer. That's a key part. Yeah.
So when he didn't do all that, people got mad. And now it's like literally the worst reviewed game on Steam. Like it's overwhelmingly negative. So that's the thing. In this game, if someone plays Star Citizen the way Matt's playing No Man's Sky, where he doesn't mind doing a fetch quest from one empty planet to another and just kind of relaxing, taking in the mountains, taking in the snow, relaxing. But is that what they were promising? I don't know.
Yeah, No Man's Sky, the advertising is what screwed them over, I think. But I think you're nailing it. It's like the expectation versus reality. Mm-hmm. It's there's that huge gap between what's in the potential player's head and then what it actually is. But if anyone in our audience here hasn't seen the video, I highly suggest watching it. I thought it was really cool, really fun. And maybe look into the price of Star Citizen as it currently is, which is $45. I didn't buy it.
Buy it. Buy it when it comes out. I'll buy it when it comes out. I'm not buying it now.
You know what's crazy? How trivial the retail price is compared to how much they're charging and getting for the ships.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Like what? Okay, at this point, can we ditch the word microtransaction and just use the term macro transaction? When the game is when the game is $40, but the ship is $700 that came out today, right? Like, at what point is the game the microtransaction and the stuff in the store the actual transaction? Like, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
No, and then the ship's going to the thousands too. But what I thought was really interesting and funny about this all came out at CitizenCon, correct?
Yeah.
This all came out at CitizenCon, yeah.
We mentioned this last year too, and I still think it's really funny that there's a convention for a game that's not even out yet. But what's remarkable is it's not the first convention for Star Citizen. CitizenCon began in 2013. We've had CitizenCon 2013, 14, 15, and 16 for a game that never even came out yet. It's still in development. Like, isn't that remarkable?
I can
There's
imagine
conventions.
I can just imagine the stage. We all ready for some, have some fun. You guys enjoying Star Citizen? Oh wait, I can't say that.
All right, here's an interesting question. If and this is funny, I want to clear up a definition here. If they say, Aaron, if I tell you, donate $700 to me and I'll give you a book, did you donate money to me or did we have a financial transaction? At what point does a donation become
a financial transaction?
Yeah, a donation is something without return. Mm-hmm. So they're not donating a Star Citizen. They're buying a ship in order to help fund it, but they are getting something in return, which is a transaction, not a donation.
This reminds me of the political.
Which is fine. If you want to burn your money, be my guest.
It's like political dinners, right? It's like you can go to some fundraiser for Hillary Clinton, but you're not giving her money. You're just paying $1,000 for a plate of food,
Yeah.
It just, the extra degree of like separation does not change the fact that it's a transaction. And it does, somebody did say in the chat that they're not charging for ships. You can get ships for donating to the creating of the game. No, they're selling ships. Call a spade a spade. That's what it is,
We're not criticizing. I don't think we're really not hating on Star Citizen either.
I respect. I have mad.
We've only expressed a level of appreciation here. So before the hate starts.
Again, I have probably for a game company, I have the most respect for Star Citizen than anyone else. Nobody else can charge thousands of dollars for a virtual ship in a game that doesn't exist yet. Like that is marketing geniuses. All right, these guys are
cult level marketing.
And they raised over $120 million. These guys are remarkable. They're the visionary business geniuses of our time. They're selling virtual ships for a game that's still being made, and they're selling them like hotcakes. So mad respect for them.
So when did the first Kickstarter come out for Star Citizen? How long has this been going on? 3 years?
Star Citizen Con was in 2013, the first one. But the game's been probably in development before that too.
Second question is, we didn't mention how much money did they raise altogether? We've mentioned this a lot, but
over 120 million. Over 120 million.
Okay. Yeah.
Somebody said if the donation you can write off as a tax write-off, but that's not true because Star Citizen is not a non-profit. So if they were a registered non-profit and you were donating to them, then you can write off for your taxes. But Star Citizen is not a non-profit, so it is not a donation in that term.
Let me see the funding here. Latest funding is at 127 million.
There you go.
That's remarkable. And again, I can never get over the fact that I saw a Reddit post where they put their Javelin ships are going on sale. They're only $2,000. They're normally $5,000. I can't wait to get one. And then as soon as it goes on sale, they sell out in 2.5 seconds. And everyone is like 100 people on Reddit are posting, crap, I wanted to buy that ship. It sold out. I'm so mad. It's like these guys were so eager to spend $2,000 on a virtual ship. And they're upset that they couldn't. Please, somebody's got to hire these guys. If this game doesn't go anywhere, I mean, you got to hire the people that are behind the hype for this game. They got the ball rolling because they know how to sell the story. And I'm still hoping the game comes out because it looks amazing. But they got the tech. They got to make the game now. As a non-product company, it's not a non-profit. It's a non-product company. The Kickstarter launched back in October of 2012.
All right, so 4 years.
All right. I mean, I'm looking forward to playing something as soon as I can get. When do you guys think the game will actually come out? The Persistent Universe game, the full
shebang.
2020.
The full shebang.
20, something will come out 2018, but it won't live up to
Squadron 42 probably. But I think the single player will come out way before the.
They said the single player would come out at first. I think the first release date for single player was early 2016, which didn't happen. And it got pushed back to 2017 recently.
Was the single player supposed to come out before the main?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would think so, right? It would be a scripted sequence. I want to point out, since all is fair in love and war, we've poked fun at other people before, so I'll say at this time, Chris Roberts looks like a weasel. He really does. Essentially, his body. Like if I were writing a book, I would call him the weasel character. I don't know if that says anything about it. I'm just putting it out there because I want to make sure everybody's made fun of equally. I believe in justice. So, Chris Roberts, you're a weasel.
I will say this though, just looking at this demo or whatever, this video, is already more pleasant than watching the videos of Shrouded the Avatar. Like the
Oh,
graphics,
yeah.
Of course.
the
It's not even
graphics in
close.
Shrouded the Avatar just hurt my eyes. So he's already at least well done. At least he's got more going on than Shrouded Avatar. Even though Shrouded Avatar is playable, barely so.
Is it really though?
They have something playable, all right, but this is definitely more pleasing to look at. And okay, here's one thing I really liked about that video, and it's been the kind of like a thing about Star. Let's go talk some positives for a change. And I do want to say, just seeing somebody go into a ship, right, in a big ship, going to sit like almost like Battlefield style. You go into a ship, you sit on the cockpit, and you drive it. You land on a planet, and you don't just teleport outside the ship. You literally, you put the steering wheel down. You get up and you have to walk outside of your ship. Just like that seamless integration between the ship is actually there and you can actually move in and out of the ship.
Oh, yeah.
You have other people like that that fluidity over there and like that seamless behavior is just so cool. And I don't think we've ever seen that in an MMO or even
What
very
about
many games in general.
the sandstorm? Was what blew me away.
That looks
That was
gorgeous.
so rad. Seeing that approach as you're nearing the ship, then it actually hits the ship and tears away certain cardboard pieces. They said they want to have dynamic weather events, so I guess like procedurally generated weather. I mean, if you could pull that off, like give planets weather systems, I mean, that's some next level shit. Or then even imagine if these sandworms that we're seeing are
these
spontaneous or
There's no way
emergent.
these are procedurally generated. Like
That sandworm is not procedural. That sandworm is modeled right
Yeah.
after Dune. That's the Dune sandworm. You can look at any picture of Dune. They took it as a nod. But I mean, if they could have them have like dynamic interactions or neat NPC move, I mean that's an insane level of AI I don't think we've ever seen. The closest thing I could think of is like Black Desert's NPCs that travel between towns, and that's on like a one-to-one path. So
you know what?
a lot of ambition.
You know what comes to mind when watching this? It's not super related, but Spore. Spore was a very over-ambitious game.
I got
Okay.
that.
Okay. It came out. I played it. I enjoyed it, but it got a lot of hate online for not meeting the expectations. And a lot of it was supposed to be like procedurally generated. You can conquer like your planet, then you can go to the universe, and you conquer all the other planets. It boiled down to a very few mechanics you just repeat over and over again, like in terms of like the city management or whatever. So I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this, but it kind of reminds me of Spore. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, a lot of hype
The expectation versus reality. Spore was a big deal, a big freaking deal, and then it did not. Again, it fell short that way. But can we say we're all hopeful that this thing exists at some point?
I'm not. I mean, look, I'm not hopeful because I don't. If they raise another $100 million, another 4 or 5 years, yes, then it can happen. All right, but we need another $100 million for this to happen. To go from this to a giant, playable, coherent world is the challenge. Give them another 4 or 5 years of hard work, they could do it. But from here to a feature complete game, I don't think it's gonna happen. I wish it does. Again, it looks gorgeous and looks awesome, but my expectations will remain in check.
Yeah, I'm
wish it
definitely not
happens,
going to
though.
hype myself up. I'd rather just wait and then try it when it comes out.
My guess is we're going to see the modular releases long before we see some type of coherence.
Well, they've been doing modular releases for a while now, and
They have, but I expect more.
all right.
But I think we'll see it eventually. It's just going to take a lot more time than the community at large expects.
Okay,
Yeah.
I want to briefly mention VR. I read an article
Please.
a while back where with the room scale at VR, right? You can design a VR world with a slight like tilt to it, right? So that in like I think they said a 20 by 20 room meters, so it's still pretty big, right?
That's big.
Right, but that's enough space, right? 60 by 60 feet, right? That's big enough to emulate endless space. Like you can somebody could walk straight in VR forever, and they would think they're going straight, even though they're slightly turning in that room.
Wow.
Really?
Yes.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, and if you Google it, you can see someone doing it. But basically, they can trick the eye with the way like the VR world is like what do they call it? Arched or whatever. So they're walking. They'll be walking in circles ever so slightly, but they'll think they're going straight. And the reason I bring this up is I'd rather see game designers, game developers, making less look like more, rather than making more and then just leaving it half utilized and half accomplished, which is what No Man's Sky and Spore I felt did.
No, I think you're on the right track for most things. I would love to see imagine a VR world, like a seamless world, where I mean, even just a procedurally generated planet like that with multiple ecosystems where you're in VR. I'm all for it.
And I'm going back to those old MMORPGs we grew up playing. Like, these games were not big. The game worlds were not big, but they felt immersive because they did the right things with what they had. And we don't see that no more.
Well, you don't see it in these grandiose projects that attract everyone's attention. No. Everyone wants bigger, 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 and more. That's how they keep making Transformers movies. See it in the indie scene, people are narrowing their scope. Right. In some indie, some not in all of them.
It does seem sad that so many Western MMORPGs are being looking to Kickstarter for funding, because we're not seeing that many big Western big studios commit to MMORPGs anymore. And it seems like most of the big Western games are coming from Kickstarter now. I mean, at least they're attempting to come from Kickstarter. I mean, that's why we're seeing ambitious projects like Star Citizen, Chronicles of Valeria. These are all ambitious titles, and their roots are from Kickstarter. And it's sad to see that Western big companies are kind of giving up on MMORPGs right now.
I want to build off of Erhan's quick digression here, just to mention, if any other person was a sucker and bought an Oculus, Oculus recently had their Kinect conference in which they hype up the Rift. They made sure to tie Palmer Luckey in a closet somewhere, leave him home, but they finally introduced the Touch. I don't know how many months after Vive already successfully did it. The Touch controllers are coming out in December. I feel obligated to pre-order them. So finally, VR, or at least the two main PC VR systems, will have Touch, and I think that it's going to help shift game design, since both platforms will have Touch, to be more inclusive of Touch. Because Oculus so far, if you don't know, a lot of the games you had to use a controller or a mouse and keyboard. So I hope that this is a catalyst or galvanizes more innovation with these Touch controllers. Because I'm very excited to try them. I've been told by Erhan here that you really need to try it that way. So
when's it coming out again?
December 15th, I should get it.
All right, nice.
I think the Touch is more important than the room scale, actually.
I agree.
And I would say without the Touch, if I'm using a controller, it's not even VR. I don't get the point without those without at least the Touch controllers.
It was still mind blowing to me.
Really, I mean, you need the hands. You need the hands.
I'm very excited. I think it's a good thing. It's gonna renew my interest.
Guys, on that note, there's actually another Kickstarter for the first virtual reality MMORPG, but that's perhaps a shitty Kickstarter for another day, though.
Wasn't that game?
It's a voxel one.
No, it's a Kickstarter one, and it looks really bad, and it's super indie, and it's never gonna happen. What I was talking about, but
is it Wizard Online?
No. That one seemed like it was from a real company, but I'm not sure.
I'm excited. I hope. Yeah. I'm somewhat excited. I know it comes with an extra camera, I believe, too, and apparently with Oculus you could just keep buying cameras. You could just hook up more and more cameras for room scale. I don't know how many a computer could actually have at once, but it's interesting now that they are. And also, it's funny, if you watch the Kinect conference, I watched it briefly, their big focus wasn't games, it was more... they kept talking about applications, and without such an emphasis on hardware, and it wasn't just gaming. And I think the most interesting thing they showed, I think it was Zuckerberg too, he came out and said they were working on a VR headset prototype, or if they even got past the concept phase, that didn't use cameras at all. It would just put it on your head and it would create room scale all on its own, which I think would definitely be the future. How many generations we are away from that, I don't know. I'm sure it's a few, but interesting talk.
Riveting,
thank you. Oh, that was convincing.
Well,
you bring up VR again. You bring up VR again. I keep thinking that that VR sex suit. And maybe just show the news article, but not the video. But it looks like something else.
If I'm going to show this, I'm going to show the video. Without the video.
All right, fine. Put the video on.
Without the video.
Let's get.
Japan is a pioneer.
Put the music on too. Put the music on. You need the music, honestly.
What's the music? I didn't listen to it.
You need the music. This is the dream. The dream! So make sure you close it for them. We want to see those thumbnails. This is the dream.
The music's amazing.
guys. This can be us one day.
The mouth, the faces are amazing. So I wonder though, why does he need to wear a full suit?
Yeah, I don't get the point of the suit.
I'm not sure if there's supposed to be some sort of like tactile feedback going on. Maybe there's like a little electric shocks or something.
Yeah, this is some quality VR material I can look forward to.
We should point out this is on YouTube, so
Yeah, this
Not our
is
fault,
the
not our
International
fault.
Business Times.
not
all right?
our fault. No.
International Business Times does not link not safe for work content. All right.
The future of VR is now.
And if you look at the actual news article too, look how like the guy standing up with the suit on. He's really excited to get this going.
He was the last person in the office to wear the suit.
This is I'm excited about this kind of technology in VR. All right? I'm waiting for this. This is going to propel VR to the mainstream. All right, you wait and see. I would love to try this out. I'm curious.
Somebody's money got spent on this. That's
Yeah.
all I keep thinking about. Somebody had their money spent, whether it's a company or not, but somebody in a boardroom thought this was brilliant.
All right. Well,
It is brilliant.
I wanna before we're kind of running out of time. I want to bring one more thing up, and
Sure.
maybe this can be a discussion point real quick. So earlier this year, Apple announced some changes to the App Store. They said by fall they're gonna allow games on the App Store to have subscriptions. So we say free to play. All mobile games are free to play. That's largely because they were forced to. You go to buy to play or free to. There was no subscription option for game makers on the App Store, and now there is. And interestingly, it seems like Apple wants game makers to charge subscriptions because after a year, Apple's cut of subscription revenue goes down to 15% from 30%, whereas the microtransactions stay at 30%.
Wait, Erhan, quick question though: does this only apply to games, but does this apply to everything?
Everything, but before this, apps could charge subscriptions, but not games.
But not games.
Yes.
Interesting.
So now games can charge subscriptions as well. And like I said, the revenue cut is going to be half what it is for microtransactions. So are we going to see larger scale, more in-depth, more continuously updated games on mobile that charge subscriptions? Like, will this revive the subscription model?
I don't think so. I think Apple just figures that they would rather have monthly predictable revenues than the sporadicness of microtransactions. But what Apple wants, it doesn't really matter. If you look at the most highest grossing games in the app stores, the most popular, not even the highest gross, the most popular apps, it's always the free apps.
But they have to be.
I mean, but there are purchase apps for sale too. You can buy $2 apps, $10 apps.
But why not? Do you think we're going to get free games to free to play with optional subscriptions instead of optional?
Optional subscriptions could happen, yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, that could happen. But I don't think you're ever going to have a game that's to play, you have to pay a subscription.
Really?
You play a couple
on
oddballs, it will not be a mainstream. I'm willing to bet anything. It's never going to be mainstream. It's already dying. Even newer PC games not being subscription-based. Mobile, look at the aversion for paying on mobile. There is such a barrier for people to spend money on mobile just at first to play a game. Rarely do you ever see a game make it to the top grossing list that costs money.
Well,
Yeah, I don't see subscription taking off on mobile
No?
either.
All right. I think we'll get at least one major successful mobile subscription
Maybe.
game.
It's just like PC then, isn't it? I mean, I could see the mobile market reflecting a PC where you have a couple of guys who are able to pull off
Yeah.
subscriptions, but for the vast majority, you're running out of free-to-play microtransaction or buy-once model. So I would suspect software to continue to dominate that sphere.
All right, if you look at this list, actually, for the highest grossing apps on the Android store, the first time you're going to see a paid game is when you go to, I believe, number 99, which is Pocket Minecraft. And Minecraft is enormous, right? Enormously popular. And to see, because it costs $7, that's their monetization model, $7 to buy the game. That's the only game on this list. And if you keep scrolling down beyond that, it's all free. These are the highest grossing games. Now, if you're a game developer, why would you require a subscription to play your game when the data in your face tells you that people are not comfortable spending money up front for a mobile game if you want to make big bucks?
Well, remember, you said up front again. I'm saying free to play.
Oh, that could free to play with subscription could happen.
Yes, okay.
That will be, I think, the popular use of it. I just don't think like a traditional World of Warcraft style pay to play subscription is going to be a thing.
At BlizzCon, Blizzard's going to announce that Vanilla's coming back, but it's on mobile with a subscription.
Well, here I can imagine this, and this is really popular. Games like, all those old German strategy games like Travian.
Okay.
What they do is, the Gripolis, all that nonsense. They're free to play, and you can subscribe for bonuses.
Yeah, yes, they'll do that definitely. You're gonna see that for sure.
I can very clearly see, like, imagine WoW does like Warcraft strategy heroes, right? For mobile, it's like, Game of War, but with Warcraft people,
Mm-hmm.
and they charge a subscription because that way it's not as scummy as like draining people out of thousands of dollars.
That's true. I feel like they could get away with that.
Yeah,
then.
I don't think Blizzard would make a game where like a granny spends $10,000 with microtransactions. They get too much heat.
Yeah, they wouldn't pull like a Game of War or Mobile Strike style pay to win nonsense. I feel like they have a little more tact than that.
Yeah, so I can definitely see free to play plus subs for mobile.
Yes, that will be a thing.
I just wanted to touch on that. Anything else, guys?
No, we can do the Revelations drawing right in the after show too.
That's right. We had a giveaway for Founders Packs for Revelations Online.
Deluxe Founders Packs.
Deluxe.
What's the value of those Founders Packs?
$80 retail value.
$80. My God.
And the giveaway is over. You had to have already submitted an entry to qualify for the drawing, which we will hold an after show. So if you guys like giveaways and nonsense like that, do check us out live so you can win next time. But for now, that's it for YouTube.
Well, we should real quick just point out, if you're on YouTube and watching this, and you won, you were notified.
Yes, you will be notified regardless if you're watching or not.
You don't have to be here to win. We're going to be doing the drawing live, but whoever wins will get emailed. All right, that's it. Take it easy.
See ya.
Later, guys.